Pause. Hi! So as you can read up there, I'm Nick Young. Many of you guys know me. If you don't know me, come hunt me down at some point. I do bite, but like softly, sensually, the nice kind of biting. You'll enjoy it, I guarantee. Anyway, my talk today is called Rapid Development, Change the World in 14 Damn Days or Less. So a bit more detail about who I am. I'm a local game developer and completely indie. I'm a game jam veteran. I made a lot of games really, really fast, so hopefully you take it for granted that I know a little bit about what I'm talking about today. This talk is going to be pretty rapid, especially for all the time I just lost, so I apologize if I go through anything really fast. But to get us started, what is rapid development? Rapid development is obviously making a game really, really fast, usually within a rigid time frame, like at a game jam, or just, for whatever reason, you have a really short amount of time. Maybe you're running out of money or like have a deadline to meet or something. It's vastly different from regular, AAA game development, whatever the hell that is, or other kinds of development that take timelines measured in months. One unique thing about rapid development is it's almost entirely first pass. There's very few, if any, revisions to your initial design. So in a way, it's a very pure kind of thing, and I'll touch on that more in a moment. What's the next slide? Why do it? Why do rapid development? It's great for testing a new idea or experiment, something that you want to play around with. It's absolutely amazing for refining your skills as a developer. If you have a really short amount of time to do something, then you don't get to screw around with it, so you have to do it the first time correctly. And as such, over time, you get really good at doing stuff without screwing up, which can be pretty beneficial. And finally, it creates a product fast, which is great for if you need to make a base for a larger project, or say a proof of concept if you're presenting to investors or something. It's good to be able to make a game in an extremely short amount of time. Pros of doing rapid game development. Obviously, it's little time spent, so worst case scenario, the game sucks. It's little time lost. Pure design. And what I mean by that is since you have no time to second guess yourself, all the choices that you're making are really honest, really the first thing that comes to your head. So in a sort of BS artsy indie kind of way, there's a lot of beauty to be found there in not screwing around and just going with your heart. And yeah, it develops your intuition. Like I said a moment ago, if everything's pushed through on the first try, then over time, your first try will become really, really good. It won't be the best you can do, but you'll get a really good sense for what works, what doesn't, what feels good, and you'll be able to make neat things in small amounts of time. Some cons of rapid game development. High failure rates. Obviously, if you don't spend a lot of time on polish or things like that, there's a reason why people take weeks and months and even years to make games. And that's to make the games good. And yeah, it really wears you out. God damn, it wears you out. It's existing for 3 or 4 days at a time with a couple hours of sleep a day and drinking only coffee or stuff will eventually make you really sweaty and stinky and dead, which is generally something to be avoided, not embraced. But every now and then it can be a lot of fun. Just don't do it too often. And it exposes your weakest skill set, which is actually a really solid point. It's interesting because you can view it in a positive light. If you're making everything really fast, it very quickly becomes evident what you suck at. So if you're a terrible artist like myself, or you're really bad at programming or at drawing hands, then that comes right to the forefront of your consciousness, and it just becomes obvious you suck at it. Eventually, if you do it again and again, you will get better at it, so you can view it in a good way. But it can be a very humbling experience and definitely not something that you want to dwell on too much. Just be professional about it, realize what you're not that great at, and just get better at it. Common pitfalls. A lot of things that I know I have done so many times and still do to this day, but good things to be avoided. Overanalyzing. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Trust your intuition. Even if your intuition at the time sucks, The only way it'll get better is if you do trust yourself and just assume, okay, this is what I think the design should be, so I'm going to make it this. And then after the game is done and your rapid development cycle is over and you've slept, then you can go back and look at this actual design and pick it apart, see what's good, what's bad, and through that way become a better designer and also get a lot more in touch with yourself. Getting caught up in tech, and this is more of a practical point, but don't spend more than 2 or 3 hours on any particular technical system like lighting or collision or something. Any more than that and you're just wasting time. And I used to have much more hair than this until I pulled it all out in rage. And it just wastes time. Use Unity or like Flixel or Flashpunk or something that has a lot of plugins to make that sort of stuff easy. And finally, scope. This is the big one. You might be expecting that I'm going to say keep a small and manageable scope, but that's BS. That's not what I'm on about. Bite off slightly more than you can chew. And what I mean by that is if you do have a small and manageable scope, that's totally fine. That's awesome. And you'll end up with a very small and manageable game, which is great. But if you bite off a bit more than you can chew and mentally prepare yourself to start cutting and like killing features left, right, and center, then you'll start out with this huge, crazy, wild design and eventually whittle it down to a very pure, very refined game, like awesome experience without any stuff cluttering up the way. So yeah, and you'll go a bit crazy in the brainstorming stage in the first hour or two. Design this wild thing and then, yeah, cut it down and don't feel bad about cutting features that you're in love with. And yeah, so to summarize, ultimately rapid development is a hell of a lot of fun and it's a great way to make a new game really fast or to try out a new idea and definitely to expand your skills. It's fun, but it gives you a good product, not a great product, which is an awesome segue to Shane Neville's talk, which I believe is coming up next, unless my timeline's all messed up. I only slept like 3 hours last night, by the way. Yeah, he, I believe, is going to be totally touching on taking a good product and making it great. So that'll tie in here quite well. Finally, just 2 quick case studies to prove that rapid development does work if you do it enough and don't suck. Wow, I feel terrible now. This evening at the Canadian Video Game Awards, I have a game that's been selected as a finalist called I Saw Her Standing There, which was made in a single week. Which, again, the things that it's stacked up against are like, multi-man teams, $1 million budgets, based on like Jurassic Park, I think one of them is. So I think it's a good example that you don't need to spend a ton of time, just so long as you feel that the game is ready and good and representative of something that you are proud of, then it's ready for release. There's no necessary time amount there. And also, last night, the reason I only got 3 hours of sleep is just to really objectively prove that you can make a game in like an extremely small amount of time. Between 1 and 6:30 a.m., I made a little game called 3-Shot Mania, which it's a 3-player multiplayer game, so I obviously haven't been able to test it very well, having only 2 hands. So for the love of God, hunt me down sometime during the intermission and let's play this thing, because I don't actually know how it plays. So yeah, that'll be fun. Once again, I'm Nick Yonge from Crane Games. Thank you very much for listening.